I think we should stand.
Mr. Dodd.
Face the flag.
All right, good afternoon. As Chairman of the School Board, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, February the 13th, 2018, and the time is 4:01 in the afternoon. Welcome to our regularly scheduled meeting for the month of February. The Honorable Mr. Thomas Kennedy has the opening today. Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. Dodd, or Chairman Dodd, I'm sorry. Today, I do have the honor of having opening exercises, and I asked somebody who's very special to our district and our community. I've invited Citrus Springs Middle School teacher Mayo Gutierrez, and his sons have so graciously agreed to come forward and play the national anthem for us. Mr. Gutierrez is a teacher at Citrus Springs, is the music teacher at Citrus Springs Middle School. But before they play, I wanted to talk a little bit about Mr. G, as many of us know him. Mr. G, following the devastation of Hurricane Maria, that really hit hard the U.S. territories, that felt the brunt of the storm, that worst felt the brunt of the storm, was his home island of Puerto Rico. Following the storm's devastation, Mr. G and many others collected supplies, and Mr. G and his brother flew during the crisis to their home island when we couldn't get flights in or out of that island. He worked with a number of agencies to ensure that those goods were provided to those who desperately needed them. But that wasn't enough for Mr. G when he came home, because upon returning, he felt quite burdened to do more. Education Weekly reported just yesterday that some 11,000 evacuees from Hurricane Maria and Irma are now attending our Florida public schools by the end of this January. Mr. G worked with our Student Services Department, and Ms. Allegretta, I appreciate you and your work with him, to assist these families transitioning to Citrus County. Certainly a scary place to come when the culture, the language is so different than maybe where you've come from, especially for some of our students that were seniors that were trying to graduate. He worked with the Educational Foundation, which is so great to have you here, as well as with United Way, with Pastor Doug Alexander and many others to work with these families. Mr. G was given teacher access to address the academic needs by looking through Skyward to help communicate with the families. And then he would help interpret for them and help address some of their immediate academic transitions. He organized evening meetings to bring families together to address their concerns. All of this he did on a volunteer basis. And last month, he was nominated as Citrus County's 2007 Citizen of the Year. And I want to thank Mr. G for this amazing work for our kids and our families. So thank you. Mr. G, I wondered if you would come up and just share a little bit about what you've been doing and the response of the families.
Board members, Superintendent Ms. Kimball, rest of the staff, parents, friends, community, I'd like to start by saying thank you. Because though my name is the one that's been taking credit, I think this was a group effort. Just happened to be the one making phone calls and contacting you and others to do this, but thank you for everything you've done. Since the first part of this event, or going to Puerto Rico and helping the people there, when I came back, I realized that we were going to get some of the students in our district, because we do have some students that have relatives that will be moving here. So being proactive, I started making phone calls, as you mentioned, called Ms. Alegría, called Ms. Bo, called a few other members of our district, and creating a plan. So when these students move to our county, we'll be ready for them. And moving, whether it's moving from one state to another, is always a difficult situation. It's never easy. Nonetheless, it will be more difficult for students who don't speak the language, don't know the culture, don't know the system that we have here in place. So what I try to do was make the transition a smooth one, or as smooth as possible. And to do so, one of the first calls I made was the Citrus County Blessings, in order to provide food for the students. So when they go home, we knew at least on the weekends they had food on their tables. And we were fortunate to right away, as soon as they get here, they would have food that they needed. I also made contact to every one of those families that was moving to our district, and welcome them over the phone, making sure that if they had any needs to let us know. That was thanks to Ms. Humboldt. She would send me weekly reports with the new students that were coming in. One of the things, we made a list of all the doctors in the area, because we wanted them to be healthy. And we knew that they needed to get a physical within a window, 30-day window. So as far as that goes, we provided a list of doctors in the area. One of them who was doing physicals for $5, so that actually helped out very, very much with that. We also partnered with one of the local churches here to provide Thanksgiving dinner for these families. We did it with the entire community, but this particular group of families were my heart, so I made sure that they were there as well. We put together a meeting at WTC, and in this meeting we taught the families how to access Skyward, something new, maybe second nature to us, but it's something new to a lot of these families that were not familiar with it. We let them know that WTC offers English classes, so a lot of these parents needed to learn English as well. So we try to put together as many things as possible for them to make this transition easier. We kept the families, we've been keeping the families informed of any events or any employment opportunities that we may have in the area, things of that nature. One of the great things that happened during Christmas was a gentleman looked at the newspaper and he noticed that in the article that talked about this effort, one of the kids had a UF sweater on, and that caught his attention. He called us and he said, do you know if these families have Christmas gifts for them? And I have a picture here. I wish I could show you the picture, but he was able to provide gifts for these families. Bicycles. He said that when he was a little kid, he played football for UF, and when he was a kid, he was given a bicycle by a friend of the family, and he's always wanted to do that once a year. So he picked one of the families, the one that had the UF sweater, obviously, and he was as happy as the kids were to receive the bicycle. He was happy to be able to make this happen. And there's many other things that I could share with you because of this little effort. But as far as that goes, it was a group effort. It was a collaboration between many organizations and people from the community. And I'm just happy that 13 years ago when I applied I was hired for 3 counties and the Teaching Florida convention. That I picked Citrus County because this has been more than home to us, and I know that I'm happy to have my 2 sons, Stephen and James, raised in this county. They're seniors at Christopher High School. They're part of the Health Academy there. They swim, they do track, they do different things there, and I'm just very happy to be part of this school system. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. G. And you named some of those people, and I just wanted to lift them out because, again, you know, Citrus County, we could have, we sometimes, when we find problems, we want to look for solutions, and then we don't always make things as easy available, but not in Citrus County. And Superintendent Hemmel, you just made sure that those doors were opened. Mr. Mullen, you made sure staff was supportive. Ms. Allegretta, Kit Humball, the Educational Foundation, Blessings, United Way, Doug Alexander, the Spanish Adventist Church in Inverness. You worked all together, and you did that for our kids, and we are very grateful. So thank you.
I may add that you were the first person I called. So you even came up with the logo for the Citrus 4 PR. So thank you for everything you've done too.
Well, Mr. G calls. I'm there. Mr. G, before you play for us, if you would be so kind, Mr. G is also a ordained elder at his church, and so I asked if he would give us a blessing and invocation, and then if you and the G boys, as they're affectionately referred to in my home, as Stephen and James join you in playing our national anthem.
Heavenly Father, we come to you thanking you for giving us the opportunity to serve. Not a higher calling than that. We ask you to give us wisdom, give us the tools that we need in order to help our community, our students, continue to bless those who need, provide for them. If we could become the answer to their prayers, please let us do that. Bless this board, all the staff members, this incredible school district. Let us one day see the fruit of our efforts. Thank you for listening to our prayer. Amen.
Amen.
We all rise. James and Stephen, would you lead us in the national anthem, please? Pledge, I'm sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. G, James, Stephen. Mrs. G was here as well. So we appreciate you all very much.
Yes, thank you all so much. Okay, is there a motion to approve the adoption of the agenda as recommended by the superintendent?
Before the motion made, I've been asked to pull the ADS audit, and we've got representation today, so I've asked Ms. Wilson to address this, and we will put it on the agenda, just to tell you what's going on at the ADS and how they're moving forward.
Move approval with the addition of AES.
Second?
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Bryant, second by Ms. Counts to approve the adoption of the agenda as recommended by the superintendent. And we are pulling that from the consent agenda, the item on page 4P, the 2016-2017 Academy of Environmental Science audit. So that is your motion, correct? Okay. Okay, we'll place it under Finance, Section 7. We'll do it just before the budget amendment number 4. Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, or is there any other discussion? Are we all clear on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes to adopt the agenda as recommended. Are there any citizen comments? No citizen comments. Okay, so now we are clear on the consent agenda. We have pulled the one item to discussion, so is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Powers, second by Mr. Kennedy to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We do have a presentation here, and that is to recognize the Citrus County District Campaign with representatives from the United Way and Education Foundation. Shonda Burdette is here, as is Amy Meek. So Shonda, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening. We'd just like to share with you the payroll deduction campaign we did as a team this year. We were able to go into all school sites, share with them the mission of each, the United Way and the Education Foundation. It was wonderful to hear the amazing programs that are going on between these two organizations to benefit the children of Citrus County. Once again, the staff throughout Citrus County School District stepped up in a huge way. We were able to bring into our organizations a combined that's over $20,000 to support the students directly from the staff of the Citrus County Schools. We want to share that the top site that had the largest contribution is made up of only 27 employees. It touches our heart. We work closely with this group and many of the things that we do in our organizations. So Miss Regina Allegoretta, if you could please come forward and get your trophy for student services.
So very proud of our staff and student services for this honor to work with these two organizations. And it'd be great that the board and superintendent want to come down and get a picture.
And while we're coming down, I would just like to make the announcement. Miss Burdette was a little worried about wearing her Lecanto shirt today, because she wants everybody to know she represents the entire school district, and she has some exciting news to share about Lecanto High School.
I do.
And she has a daughter who goes there, so she's legit.
Thank you.
Congrats, good job.
Good job.
So as Miss Regina Allegoretta, her group was the top site. The top school site was Lecanto High School that contributed. And with Lecanto High School, our exciting news is that the girls soccer team, I have to do a shout out for them. Second time in school history and in our county's history that a soccer team has made it to the Elite Eight. So we have that game tonight. We are excited. They are undefeated. Again, another milestone. History in the making. But yes, so if you are free tonight at 7 o'clock, the game is at home. And we are super excited. We know we're going to bring home that win again and then move on to the Final Four. So if you can make it, please come cheer on the girls. They've had a lot of community support, and we'd love to have anybody there that's available.
And there's
Thank you.
another bit of news that she got. Some of you may know her son graduated as a Lecanto alumni, and he is going to school at UCF for film. And this past weekend was the Florida Hollywood Film Festival, where Dalton won the film festival.
Thank you, Thomas. But again, I credit the entire village of Citrus County who has truly raised my children, and I'm grateful for their successes, and I credit their teachers and administrators for making that happen.
Does this make it easier for me to get the movies?
Absolutely. We've already started with what he needs to do next. Yeah, so he did do a live radio broadcast today. He's moving forward, made some great connections. So we've told him he's got to highlight Citrus County school system in his next feature film. So we'll move forward with that, but thank you. Thank you.
He looked pretty awesome on the red carpet.
He did, he did. Thank you.
He will have a beautiful granddaughter that would make a wonderful.
I thought so too. Yes, absolutely. So thank you.
And also thanks to the Education Foundation, Galaxy of the Stars was once again a very nice event.
You know, that event is just special. You walk in the room, Amy Barbieri on our team is the visionary behind the decorations, and really an opportunity to just celebrate the successes of our teachers and what's happening with our students every day. It's a very special night. Again, this year, it was just beautiful. It was a great evening, and our winner, Rebecca Caskey, we are fully supportive and moving forward and knowing that she's going to represent our county in a big way, and we're excited about that. So yes, thank you.
All right, very good.
I just want to say thank you to everyone at the school district for all that you do, because not only do the staff get involved in giving, but you give us the opportunity to be in the schools with the programs that we have, and you give us the opportunity to bring programming to students and families. This year, our two organizations are investing nearly $1 million in this school district to help students and families to lead better lives. So we appreciate the opportunity, because as a United Way CEO, I meet CEOs from all over the nation at annual conferences that don't have the relationship that we have with the school district. They're not allowed in the school district to bring in programming. And so you make it easy for us to partner and to do things to help students and families, again, like I said, to lead better lives. So thank you for that opportunity.
And Amy, I just want to thank you for what United Way does, because you're right, I talked to other superintendents, and United Way doesn't do in other counties what you all have done for Citrus County kids and our school district, because before Amy, United Way did not do that. So we thank you for that.
Thank you. It's our honor and our pleasure.
The partnership is very strong, and I like reading your weekly column.
Thank
and
you.
you know, all the information you share. So I know that's a little bit of a task at the end every week to put that together, but thank you for...
Your encouragement keeps me going.
And Amy, stay close to Shawnee, you may make
I
movies
know.
with me.
Exactly. But thank you all so much.
Similar, donating forever since she was a baby.
I know.
And she's been the same. From 7 years old.
Better hair.
now.
Better hair. Hair's gotten better.
Very dedicated, and she says she's going to do it, it's going to be done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
All right. Ms. Ferrani, would you please recognize our donors at this time, please?
We have a $2,246 donation to the Academy of Environmental Science from Duke Energy, a $500 donation to Hernando Elementary School from Walmart, a $1,500 donation to Hernando Elementary School from Walmart, a donation of 5 iPads, 1 Chromebook, and 5 folders for a total of $1,816.23 to Emory's Primary School from Farmers Insurance Company, a $2,000 grant to Rock Crush Elementary School from AT&T, new bicycle donation valued at $670 from Homer South Elementary School from Spokane Shield, a $960 donation to the Kenter Primary School from Donors Chose Org, a $1,000 donation to Pleasant Grove Elementary School from Brennan Miller Gifting LLC, a $3,500 donation to Citrus High School from Fox Care Foundation, a $1,500 donation to Christopher High School from the Kiwanis Club of Inverness, a $1,500 donation to Christopher High School from Certified Air Conditioning, a donation of astronomy equipment valued at $3,050 to Educational Services from Daryl Senor Decor, a $500 donation to Student Services from the Homosassa Alliance Foundation. This is Hemel, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board, total $20,072.23.
Woo! Thank you to all of those. Yes.
The families from Puerto Rico just showed up, and Mr. G wanted to bring them back in.
Okay, no, that's fine. That is fine. Mr. Gutierrez, if you want to come down front again?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Please come in, come in. Welcome, welcome to Citrus County School Board.
So the young man with the Gators sweater is the one.
Go Gators!
His name is Angel. His little sister, Crystal. Parents over here.
Got it?
Jared. Their story is they lost pretty much everything there. They're living with mother-in-law, 3 families in one house, so you could imagine. Then this family here, the young lady with the pink, just got here last week. Last week?
Yep, that's me.
Last week. So they're still coming, and there's many more. But as far as that goes, I just wanted to introduce you to them.
And is this Dad?
This is Uncle.
Uncle?
Yeah.
I see that you,
He's from New
we
York.
need to thank you for your service as well.
Yes.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm new to the county as well. I just purchased in Fairview Estates, so
Yeah.
we're new to Florida altogether. We transitioned from Pennsylvania here. We've been here for about 3 months now. So we're still getting used to the transition, getting used to the school and everything that Florida has to offer.
Well, stick with Mr. G. He knows everything.
It's a blessing.
And he's really good in music, too. And Mr. G, thank you again so much. We are grateful for your service, and we are grateful for your talents. Welcome to Florida.
No snow this summer, no snow.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Okay, next on the agenda is item number 6 on the agenda, School Support Services, Mr. Bishop. Swing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming in.
Good afternoon. I am here to ask the board's approval of the instructional and support recommendations as listed on the goldenrod.
Move approval.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Bryant, second by Mr. Kennedy, to approve the instructional and support recommendations as on our goldenrod. Is there any discussion?
I'm going to miss some of those reservations from drop.
It's interesting to note when we talk about drop that there is a bill going through the legislature that would extend drop to the last day of school.
Which would be a good thing.
Which would be a good thing.
Yes.
Yes. Are there any other comments or discussion?
Yeah, that's HB 977.
Thank you, Thomas.
He's also the board's track coach.
Yes, he is.
They can leave mid-year.
Yes, and it breaks my heart the boys know this, because they left swimming for track. And when I lose one, I lose 2. So that's twice as many points I lose.
Flying 500 was hard to fill.
But Mr. Byrne is very happy, because he's the one who inherited them, so.
Okay. There's a motion second. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Thank you.
opposed?
Have a good evening.
Motion passes 5-0. Mr. Dixon. Planning and Growth Management.
Yes, good afternoon, board members. I have
One remaining policy item, request to advertise for a public hearing on April 10th. This is a revision to policy 6.70 staff training. Basically, this changes section 3C and G and adds citations for Florida statutes to add the language suicide awareness and prevention, or sexual harassment and discrimination policies and procedures, and suicide awareness and prevention. We talked about it at the workshop. Those are the only changes, and they are required.
Mr. Reed, I asked this before, we're up in Tallahassee talking to some of the legislators that were mentioned that.
Ms. Powers, is your mic on?
Yes,
Oh,
it's
okay.
the wrong direction.
Okay. all right.
It's a very unbelievable topic. I want to do it. But anyhow, they were talking about the training for teachers and how the, asking for mental health stuff to be put in the school system, monies. They said they were very, very happy to see the training would possibly be expanded because the teachers, first line of defense are the ones that spot many, many things and they're passing information on. And so they were hoping that as much training as humanly possible could be done to help the teachers to see maybe what was happening in the class at the end, their awareness to make them then go and talk to a guidance counselor or something. Anyhow, to solve problems even before they got to be big problems, small problems. So that reminded me very much of those we talked with were behind supporting this.
Yes, and we can see if anything comes out of that legislatively and update the policy, or we can investigate the subject and see if something could be placed in the policy at a future update. But just recommend that this move forward as is so that that particular change can occur, and then we can also, if you'd like to, we can look at additional language for mental health.
While you look at the language, there is appropriations for mental health category this year up there, and make sure we get some of it for the cost of training.
That's the $40 million we're trying on this case. Yeah, we gotta hope that makes it through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a motion, please?
I move that we accept the policy 6.70 for advertisement at a public hearing on April 10th, 2018, to approve the revision.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Counts, a second by Mrs. Powers to approve to advertise for public hearing and to approve revision of policy 6.70 staff training. Is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have added item P, approve the 2016-2017 Academy of Environmental Science audit to this section on finance.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I would like to ask approval of the 2016-2017 Academy of Environmental Science audit. They were cited this year for a finding of deteriorating financial condition. The school did not properly monitor its operating budget and experienced unexpected expenditures. They did have to cash in a CD and use some fundraising money to pay the district to bring themselves up to an acceptable level. And at the end of 16-17, their fund balance was a little over $4,000. I ran some financial statements as of January 31st, so I'm going to hand those out to you real quick. When the auditors presented this to the district and then to the academy, because we are in such a unique situation that, the academy, we run their finances for them, and So we came up with some strategies, and Mr. Leonard out there, he had reviewed his staffing. He cut his staff based on his enrollment because enrollment was down some, which caused some of this financial condition. I have been going out there about every other month to review with their board, their financial situation. And if you want to look at these financial statements, you will notice that because of their budget, they should end up the year about $40,000 in the good, with a better fund balance. Right now, they're gradually getting up there. They're at about $9,000 right now. So things are moving in the right direction. The 1.5 mil money, they are going to receive about $27,255 of our 1.5 mil money. That will help them with maintaining that building, and I know they have some elevator repairs they're looking at right now, and but they're diligently working at keeping their costs down, only spending on the necessary items, and working very diligently to get their enrollment up for next year. So I think things are going in the right direction.
Amy, as you bring up those things, I'm pointing at one of the conditions of the thing where the lessor is to utilize rent paid by the lessee for maintenance of the constructed facilities and management of the property. They expended $74,740 for maintenance out there, but it's clear that the lease with the city says it's the city's responsible for it. So would these new expenditures come from the city, or are they going to?
They are.
We're renegotiating that lease.
Yeah, they're renegotiating that right now. I think they're working on hiring an attorney to go over that lease with them. And they're going to try to get some of the monies back.
Trying to get a response from the city of Crystal River at this point.
Yeah, because that's a pretty clear statement in the lease that should have stood up, and we shouldn't have spent that $74,000.
Well, that's what we're trying to determine.
Right, that's what they're, and some of that was built on the dock, was used on the dock out there. But the board is diligently working to get things back on track. The lease is $23,000.
23, just a little over 23.
A little over $23,000.
And if I recall, Ms. Lieber, I know we probably talk with anybody that needs to. You've struggled to try and, because the city kind of, I think, took this project on.
Yes, sir.
And there's been times that the state has required things that were the obligation then of the school, because the city said, well, okay, if you want it, go make it happen. And there just hasn't been the resources. And Ms. Lieber, I just want to commend you for your leadership on that board, because I know you've been working with Mr. Leonard and with Ms. Wilson in trying to make sure that all these things came in line. So
Thank you, but Zach is he's the hero. He's amazing. He's amazing. Our enrollment at present is at 105.
wow,
Committed,
congratulations.
So, yes, it's amazing, and we can still take a few more, so he is.
Make applications, anyone who's
Yes,
listening.
He's been all over Facebook, and the kids are fired up, so it's amazing. He has done tremendous. I just sit there and go, it's just wonderful.
He's definitely determined
Yes.
to turn that place around. Every time he met with me, and Mr. Blocker and I met with him before Mr. Blocker left, and he's willing to do whatever is needed to make that place keep running.
The budget.
And for clarification of the public, the property is not owned by the Citrus County School Board, correct?
No, it's owned by the city of Crystal River.
Correct. Building and
And it is a neat, unique, wonderful
I want to
location.
learn science that.
I spoke to Mr. Leonard about the audit, and we had a great conversation. It sounds like, Ms. Wilson, you're working with him and the board. It sounds like there's, things are under control, and obviously there's going to be issues that you all have to work out with City of Crystal River on how you're going to operate the lease, if you're going to go back to $1 a year, if you're going
Right,
Give you-
we're trying to give some.
pay maintenance
Some
or,
sort of a leverage thing.
right, so that's something that your board, right, will be doing with the City of Crystal River. And so I think we're all interested in keeping the Academy of Environmental Science up and going strong, and it sounds like that's what's happening with your report on the students. So,
Mr. Bradshaw, for clarification though, when there's deficiencies on there, we don't have any statutory power or legislative power to tell the Academy or any charter, not just the Academy, but any charter that, let's say, we want you to do X, Y, and Z, other than to assist and encourage. But I mean, until that point, until they reach that point, I apologize. We can't simply say, well, we don't, we can encourage, we can do that. And I think, and again, I commend Ms. Leeper and the board right now and Mr. Leonard in working with us. But I don't think ordinarily we wouldn't be able to step in and say that. They're to operate independently.
And then I just have one other thing, contacting the school's financial management. Sandy Balfour still is on there to be contacted. Who would somebody contact? Because she's not there anymore. That's the bottom of page 5.
well, Mr. Leonard obviously responded to the, but should that be Zach Leonard as the
Is there a financial
administrator?
officer, or who's responsible for the finances of it?
She was the one in charge at the time during this fiscal year, so she was the one responsible. And Mr. Leonard responded because he was the one responsible at that time when the audit actually happened, but they audited the 16-17 financials.
So if we get questions, they would go to Zach, not to you.
Okay. He signed off on it, I believe.
Now, when did Mr. Leonard take over again? Can you refresh my memory?
Ernie Olson ran it for a while after.
April, I believe,
April and May?
Yeah.
April and May, the end of.
End of that school year.
Yes.
Beginning of the I would say June time.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
No.
Is there a motion?
Just to
Okay.
ask Ms. Speaker just one question. Is there anything else that we can do to help you as you go through this year and recover from this?
If you want to come on up to the mic, that might be better. We appreciate you coming here. We're interested in what you have to say.
Because you've got new members on the board. You're the mainstay there.
Well, we have pretty much the same that we started off with. We still have one opening, so our annual meeting is tomorrow. But we still have our same board members we started with, that we started with last year. But I don't know of anything other than we're diligent working, keeping that budget foremost in our mind. The City of Crystal River, we're still trying to get a response. Zach's made several phone calls. I've made a couple myself. We're in the process now of forming a letter that way to, try to get a comment back from them of how we can either meet or if they want to work it through a letter that way to see what kind of direction they want us to go.
When you're talking about the city, you're talking about Mr. Brunel.
Yes, sir. Excuse me, yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And we're trying to work out something that way as well. But we are going to be doing 9th and 10th grade only there this coming year with the new program that district-wide is going with the 7 periods a day. So I believe that's what, at first, I was like, oh my, now what do we do? Because we were kind of geared in the other direction. But I believe that's going to work very well for us, having the 9th and 10th grades out there. I'm going to be posting for teachers to handle that because we're going to be out there offering the math and the history, which is what we had originally kind of wanted to have the math anyway. So this is going to work very well for us, I believe also. So with the 105 students plus that we're going to be able to have a few more, we should be hopefully full enrollment before the school year starts. But he'll be posting for this teachers to fill those positions. I would think shortly, get that out there, so.
Did I hear there's maybe a little PIBS going on there, connection? A little PIBS pre-IB?
Yes,
That I
yes,
heard,
that's
so
yes.
Ms. Powers, you'll be excited to do that. Again,
That's what the
Zach
direction
reached
was.
out to the schools and said, hey, how
Yes.
can we,
Yes.
marry some programs
That's why I don't
together?
know, I don't think the man sleeps. That's the idea of what he wants to do, and of course, not all students want to do that as well.
No, but
And he's trying to give as much flexibility to any student that comes out there to give them that opportunity as well. to let them know that there's expectations when you come out there and let you know that this is what you can have. And then if you don't want to do that, you can just come out there and be a part of the family. And the teachers are on board with everything that he wants to do. They're excited as well. Again, the same teachers that we had, we did, the one history teacher has decided not to say a teacher. This is Johnston, can't remember her first name, I apologize. But, so we're going to be going out to get another history teacher. But they're all working very well together, very excited. And the IB thing, I think, is going to work very, very well to keep us in the direction that we want to go to. Getting him out in the kayaks, that's just, when he goes out to do the preschool, the middle schools, that's, what we've always been pushing, but we weren't able to do it, or Mark wasn't doing it prior to. And he's been doing that on a regular basis, and they went out with the dolphins, and the manatees. Is like, I want to go back to school, and I want to do that, and they've got the pictures, like they've seen them all over Facebook. He's using that to its full capacity, and that's what I think is also bringing the students in.
Science fair, you guys, you
rocked.
You didn't just take back the trophy, you took it back in force.
And thank you all for y'all's comments when y'all were there. It's just like the kids really were excited for every student there on that stage. They really,
You had an audience of cheerleaders.
they were just, they were loving it.
And they were cheering their siblings in other schools. They were
having fun.
Now behind you, Inverness Middle School brought their white handkerchiefs, and you didn't see them.
I did not see
Because
that.
you were looking at us, and
Yes,
they were behind you.
I did.
They were cheering
They were just, they're excited, and the vast differences in all the experiments was just an amazing thing too. It was just exciting.
When I went to judge there, they were apologizing that you need white quality because they were so much younger.
Yes.
White quality, weren't you?
Yeah. But this past year has been a challenge on all angles, but the board and Zach, I think, is what's got us all through, and with y'all's help, it's made it much easier for me, because I was like, oh my goodness. But this has been exciting and scary. It's been all over the place, but I think we're on a straight and narrow right now, and it's going to work, and the kids are going to be the beneficiaries, and thanks to y'all and Zach. He was the right person at the right time, and he has just been amazing, and the kids just adore him. He's always there to encourage them. He's had to make tough decisions. There's been some students out there, he's had to make some very difficult decisions, but you can't be the friend all the time. You've got to make some rough decisions sometimes. But budgets, we're getting there. The money's coming because the students are coming, and I think we're going to be, they're going out. Just come take a look and, maybe go on a kayak. I want to. I gotta work. It's just, it's wonderful. Just come on out anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there a motion to approve the 2016-2017 Academy of Environmental Science audit?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by Mrs. Powers to approve the Academy of Environmental Science audit. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
I would also like to ask approval of budget amendment number 4 for December. As you can see, this was a very busy budget amendment. The highlight is probably the Hurricane Irma expenses that we incurred of about $185,000. We filed a claim for that. Our insurance has given us a small amount. It was under $10,000, so FEMA will take that into consideration before they make their final decision.
Do we have any idea when they're going to make their final decision? When they want to?
Yeah, they have a deadline that they have to meet.
They have a deadline. What's their deadline?
I am not sure. You would have
I
to.
think they keep extending it. I heard it was March, but now I'm hearing it's not March.
But
Does that include food, also the $185,000?
yes, the food that we use for the shelters, the cleanup after, all the expenses we incurred opening the shelters and having those schools open. That's part of that plan that Ms. Buckingham has been working on, so we put it out there, and hopefully that's how much we're going to get back to help us compensate for that. Some other notable budget amendments in here. We did have to amend the budget because we gave out more board insurance match than originally planned, and for raises, we did save some money on long-term subs. Let's see, in the capital account, we sold some old buses. We're trying to clean up that old bus yard out there in LaCanto, the bus graveyard, and those got sold, and so.
This has nothing to do with your report, but every once in a while when I go by EMS on Old Homestead Trail, I see our school bus that we donated in the back that they're working on, and I'm always so proud that we did that for the community.
Are there any questions? Budget amendment?
I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve budget amendment number 4.
Second?
Motion by Ms. Bryant, second by Ms. Counts to approve budget amendment number 4. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Ms. Wilson, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Wilson, just before you leave, we're all anxious with the new budgets coming out, and I appreciate, because I know you're staying on top of it, and you've shared information with us, and we've gotten some of the recent runs. A lot of this I know you're watching already. It looks like technology we're going to be okay in, but one of the areas that concerns us, and I know Mr. Dodd is safe schools. That's a concern with the House budget versus the Senate budget, and again we deal with Ms. Powers and a lot of us with mental health and getting the funding. It looks like, and I guess this is my question, it looks like categoricals are where we're going to have serious looking that we're going to have to watch, because it looks like the base funding won't be as much of the issue, but the categoricals may. Is that correct?
You're correct. Yes, you are correct. And we've been watching, and we're planning our budget based somewhere on the low end, just to be safe. And of course, there's more categoricals in some of the runs than there are in the other ones. New provisions for mental health is one of the big ones that's out there. So,
But yet, they may reduce like digital classrooms. Have you seen that?
they've all come out with the same amount there in digital
Classrooms.
classrooms. Right.
So what I think, Mr. Dodd, you may be talking about is the way they formulated between the Senates and the Houses. But if you look at what Citrus County would get,
Right.
it's within like $100 of each other. They're the same. So you're right. There are counties that digital classroom will take the hit, but it won't affect us. One of the areas that I know we have to really watch is going to be the FRS contribution. It definitely is the scary number that's still out there, and we kind of get that beautiful thing right after it's all done. It's like, and don't forget.
Right, and how do we budget without knowing what it is? So
Right.
we try to do the best that we can with that.
And that's the ouch, because usually the money we plan for, we hope to get, goes out the other door with that. So.
And as long as we're speaking about the digital, are we reimbursed when I see, shattered screen, can't be repaired, and it's a student?
Yes, the schools do.
Their contract that they were supposed to.
The schools do collect money that comes into the general fund for iPad repairs.
Ms. Counselors are treated the same way as we do textbooks when they report
There you go.
textbooks.
Yeah.
So they go after and try to collect as much as they can.
Yeah. If the report, we just get as disposable property, and I didn't know.
And Ms. Counts, during when we've been working these over the last number of years, one of the challenges is that we still have a requirement to provide, and you can't this is the difficulty, you can't withhold it. And so as a result of that, the statute says you can't withhold the information from the child, and so you can't say to them, well, we're not going to give it to you. There are provisions that the administrative team, Mr.
I
Mullins,
didn't mean
worked
that
to
we should ever
that.
withhold it from them, but we
No, but we also
You
can't.
should hold them accountable for,
And they do, but like we were saying, when it comes to food services, we've learned that the balance we have to be careful of is most of that work has to be done by an administrator. And so often the cost per hour of that administrator will exceed the repair.
oh yeah, why?
So you have, so there is a balancing.
Do you know how long, what you're paying me to stand in line at this copy machine?
Well, and
So
that's why I
understand
say
what you're saying,
those are a balancing
Yeah.
act that I know Mr. Mullen and Dr. Geddes have looked at to say, you know, we have to be reasonable to say we definitely want to collect, but there comes a point that if we have an administrator chasing a $20 plug, and they're spending an hour doing that because of phone calls, that plug has now cost us probably $120.
Well, I'm looking at the 16
But-
iPads that are $279.
But they're all actually part of the budgeting that we do. Those are usually part of that.
Let me ask a question. I was over at Crystal River High School, and I know that some of the boards, the whiteboards there, are not doing so well. They started off just fine, but they don't have the wearability that they should have. Is there a fund, Mike, maybe you can consider Mr. Mullen, that could be tapped here at the county level to do any replacement of boards that sounded like they're going to be fine, look like whiteboards, just whiteboards?
The menus,
I'm confused.
Oh, the whiteboards.
You have two funds, you have your operating and your capital. You can spend it on it however you want.
Okay.
We don't have a whole lot of either.
I didn't want that answer. What I wanted was a special fund that says like, what we bought wasn't up to par, now we'll give you money to help replace it, because we can't.
Are you asking if they're under warranty?
No, I'm asking, is there money available here that could replace something that is not up to par?
Maybe I can chime in on that.
Yeah.
We do have a line item in the budget for furniture replacement, and that is one of the things that does get requested by schools through that furniture replacement process. Whiteboards. Whiteboards are very, very, very expensive, so we have to really scrutinize, A, how we maintain them, and B, when we replace them. But yes, we do replace them through the line item. I think that budget's,
the capital budget.
it's about $100,000
Yes.
a year district-wide.
Yes.
Is that?
Makes me miss my chalkboard.
I know. I had some whiteboards at the house, that were the small ones that we used. And originally I'd ordered some that were not that expensive, and that's how they wore, very poorly. The one I have now, I've had like 3 years. I defy you to tell me whether or not it's brand new or used, because it's so good. And sometimes.
How much more did it cost?
If they write on them with the wrong markers, they probably get
Yeah.
sometimes. They
The
just
markers.
don't have it with it.
That's true, that's true. But they probably cost 3 times what a cheap one costs. Yeah, that's true. But you still need them. I want that fun.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on the agenda is the attorney legal matters, Mr. Bradshaw. Questions for Mr. Bradshaw? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to item 10, approve minutes. Okay, yes ma'am. We'll go back to
I
the
had it written down.
Yes,
Wound up
there's
going
still
through
plenty
the
of time.
consent agenda. Wickahuchi's calendar is going to start on the 9th. Is that okay? We had to start on the 10th.
Was that
We
meant from
changed
was that
something
meant-
that could.
The new calendar, they've got Wickahuchi Tech starting on the 9th. They're not subject to the state law. They can't go to school before the 10th.
I'll check on that. Probably not because it's in full education.
Yeah, but since it's under our auspices, I just wanted to check and make sure it wasn't.
Yeah, I think the ruling was only for a K-12, and then we changed the contract with CCEA so that we could have separate calendars
Yeah, and I
because of
understand.
that.
I just didn't want.
That's a great question though, that,
And we've had days before when our high school students weren't required to come.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
we're pretty confident, but Mr. Bradshaw, you can send us an email okay, that sounds good. Thank you. Anything else for?
Move approval of minutes?
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes, or second? Second, we have a motion by Mr. Kinney, second by Ms. Counts, to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, it's 5 o'clock. It is at the end of our business meeting, so we are going to open up for citizen comments. Are there any citizen comments? We will be meeting, we will be back again at 5:15 for citizen comments, or if the meeting's not done by then, we'll recess and come back at 5:15. But is there any citizen comments? Okay, seeing none, we are going to move
I want to
to...
know if I ever really sit on the staff. You'll still have
We
some
would. All right, we're going to go to board member committee reports and any other business. Mr. Mullen. Okay, Ms. Bryant.
Well, as you know, Mr. Dodd, we had a great field trip. The Homosassa fishing was outstanding. Those guides are awesome, totally awesome. The guide that I had said, "You girls are so great." He said, "If you continue to be as good as you are, there'll be a surprise for you." So he pulls into Mac Ray's and buys ice cream for everybody on the boat. I mean, he's already given his time and his money and his gas and his day, and he adds ice cream to boot. Just awesome, awesome field trip. And then, of course, there was Tallahassee after then, and I'll leave that for you to explain.
Okay, Ms. Harris?
Yeah, last evening I went to a meeting of Nominee where the person who was presenting was talking about, not alcohol, about tobacco use, and she's from Florida State University, and she does these programs all over the state of Florida. And I just brought you the information to pass out to you, just to take a look at it and see what she was explaining some surprising facts on how addictive tobacco is. You know, you think heroin is really addictive, tobacco is really addictive, so.
Yes, it is.
We can pass
Oh,
those
we're
over.
almost over.
Right. No, we're not going to go over it, it's just for your reading, just for the information. And she can be, the person's going to be available to the school system anytime that would be desired. The second thing I have to pass out is from Tallahassee.
Looks like orange.
I know.
I was in orange.
No, it costs more, couldn't do that, couldn't do orange. No, it's the orange sheets that we have, but I wanted everyone to have a copy to keep in their files. It talks about all the things FSBA wanted to emphasize, and I think maybe, Doug, you're going to speak about that, are you?
I'm sorry?
You're going to speak about the things FSBA.
No, ma'am, you can cover that. Go right ahead. Or Thomas.
Speak about
I
that.
have just a couple things, but you go right ahead.
No,
Yes, go right ahead.
I'll just name what was decided as they wanted to emphasize. One is accountability in government, so that everything that's done, the public can be aware of and see what we do. Next, support the principles of local government authority and autonomy as essential elements that ensure that the government closest to the people is inherently most accountable to the people. Next was school choice. One thing there was to me very interesting and very, very necessary, that the funds that go, say, to a charter school, through the public school, go to a charter school, that the charter schools have to be in line with what we set up as a 5-year plan. They can't say that we'd like to, build a wing onto the school and go ahead and do it. They have to go according to what the 5-year plan is that the public school has, so that's very interesting. Education funding, support funding for programs and services to address the health and mental health needs of Florida students. That's something that's very, very important to me and to all of us on the board. And the last one, I'm not naming all of them, but the statewide assessments, that they be back in time. So when the children take a test, and it's a statewide test, it's going to be used for placement of the children or used to help the children if they don't know something that can be taught. Get it back in time so that the year's not over with before it comes back. And that's one of the problems we've had. I'll stop there, and then Tom's, it's your turn to pick up if you want to, Sandy.
Well, I had a great time in Tallahassee also, and I just want to remind you, I keep Tampa Bay times. I keep saying the same few times. But John Romano's in conversations down there, and he's got his article, and it was Tuesdays, February 13th. Is anyone going to say no to the bully? But he is naming names. And last year he even did pictures of the names, but he's saying instead of the hubris of Speaker Cochran, and is singing Sycophants. And that goes for you, Larry Ahern, James Grant, Chris LaBalla, and Chris Sprout. So he's naming names of people that are not voting in favor of public education. Further on down, he's talking about the bullying bill in this article. He goes on and he says, sort of sounds like bullying, doesn't it? And your anti-bullying representatives just voted for it. And then he says, and that goes for you, Sean Harrison, Jack Rager, and Ross Spano, who happens to be running for Attorney General, and Jackie Toledo. So he's naming names down in Pinellas County. And I think that the more that the papers do that, then we can probably vote more intelligently. And then they had a very nice article Tuesday on Stop the Attack on Public Education, and that's telling people down in that newspaper area to contact their senators right now and start picking out some of that bad stuff that's in that 7055. I went to the retired teachers meeting yesterday, and I asked them to contact even senators, whether they know them or not, and make it a one-liner, make it yours. Don't have a pack saying to them, and just email and make it 1 line, 1.5, but don't make it more than 3. And tell them to just cherry pick out some of the stuff that's bad for public education. And last but not least, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that the Homosassa Elementary School Fish Fry with the Guides Association is going to be February 25th at McRae's, noon, $10 a plate, and the guides donate all the foods and then send the money back to Homosassa Elementary. So if you're not doing anything else on the 25th, come on down to McRae's, and the guys are cooking right there, and they'll serve you, and then it goes back to our school.
Just a minute, on the 25th,
You got the African American
I'm reading once again at the African American Read-In.
Yeah.
Anybody gonna be at African American Read-In?
What time is, that
I'm at two different schools.
It's at 5.
2 to 5, okay, well, then it's gonna be conflict, but you have to do half, one and half the other. Well, you could have lunch, because they're gonna start serving lunch at 12. So if you go to the fish fry for lunch, then you make it to Curtis Fusion, I guess?
College.
College.
I think it is.
Oh, college, okay,
College,
college, yeah. So you can have lunch at 12, and read it at 2.
And what kind of fish?
Don't
It's
worry.
gonna be, it's whatever the guys happen to have that day. They've been catching reds, they've been catching,
Like drums?
groupers out of season, yeah, but,
Like drums.
yeah, they've got drums, yeah,
My babies, every child on my boat caught fish.
yeah,
Every child.
yeah.
Well, rumor has it, okay, it's not a rumor, it's true, that Miss Count's son-in-law's boat, who helped coordinate the entire thing, because he is president
He's
of
president of the guys association.
caught a 40-pound, what was it?
40-pound blackbill.
And they had to send it back.
He had boys and.
It was catch and release.
They
It
all
was
catch
catch and release.
But the guys go out and fish and they don't release what they can keep.
He may be her son-in-law, but he's my former student.
Oh, there you go. My wife's too, actually.
So anyway, that's it, but it's good. We still got to just every day pop your computer open or I'm dropping some notes, handwritten notes to every senator. Just saying, please. It has, if you count the dates, that bill has 60 sections to it. Of the 26 or 27 pages of our review, the first 12 are donated to one bill. It passes or it doesn't. So Megrin stopped the appropriation, so hopefully the senators will come through for us.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Kells.
I want to start first by thanking this board. This afternoon, we approved moving forward modifying policy 3.60, which is the flag display, pledge, and national anthem. I'm grateful for that. It will read in part that the board requires all schools in the district to include programs of a patriotic nature, something I know we've been doing, to encourage greater respect for the government of the United States and its national anthem and flag, subject always to other existing pertinent laws of the United States and of the state. Additionally, when the national anthem is played, following pursuant to Florida Statute 1003.44, When the national anthem is played, students and all civilians shall stand at attention, men removing their headdresses, except when headdresses are worn for religious purposes. So I appreciate this board's support in that, and I know that there are many of our many great veterans and fallen heroes that appreciate that, and as a Purple Heart school district, I think it was only appropriate. So.
When the boys played the trumpet, oh my gosh, it was so moving.
They make it sing. They really do, because I think it was Mr. Bradshaw, I think I heard you say when you see trumpets, you're thinking, how can they do that in a small space? They do. I too was in Tallahassee. I can't say that it was an enjoyable trip, but it had nothing to do with the company that I got to spend time with by any stretch, nor some of our representatives who I'm grateful for. But it's another year, and it's another year of attacks of public education. It's another year of us saying what concerns us, and it's another year of basically being told, well, you are wrong, and we are right, and we're going to do it anyway. It's interesting that in 7055, there is a provision regarding bullying and the idea that it is so bad in our schools that we're going to provide alternative options in a bill that to some has been described as bullying to get it passed by holding hostage our state's budget. So I do find that a little ironic. That particular issue is going to be a concern because the troubling fact is not, in my opinion, of giving parents choice. I don't have a problem with that, and I certainly don't have a problem if someone is a victim. But it's concerning that we don't have any criteria or measure to the school that they're going will be any safer or better, because there is no control over that. Now, it is encouraging that there are some sections of 7055 that increase the responsibility and requirement of private schools that take state-funded and taxpayer money, and that part of the bills are good. There is a portion, there's a lot of things about that bill that we have to be careful that we assume that it's not going to pass, because I do think the reality is it probably will pass. The question, of course, will be is what small tweaks that they will make. Today, for example, there was a textbook bill. It's I believe it's Senate Bill 1366, which again, those of us who've been sitting here have been dealing with, where we had more parental input at the local level. Well, now the idea was that there would be parental input at the state level for the state list that a lot of us have made our purchasing decisions of. It was encouraging. An FSBA amendment or supported amendment passed, which would change that if the Commissioner of Education determines that the books meet the Florida standards, then there doesn't need to be the input. So there is some checks and balances, and there are some changes. The trouble we're going to see is that there is more burden going to be put on school districts, and one of those are things like, I don't know if you saw, but in 7055, our budget amendments will be required to be put at a public meeting. They're putting that in statute. Now, while I don't disagree with that in theory, I again am being told by the state government how to operate our local districts. And I think that in itself is what should concern people about lots of what's in 7055. So I know you all are watching that. Ms. Counts indicated about the Senate. It is really going to come down to what the Senate wants at this point, because we know what the House wants. I was there when they passed. I actually went to the chambers because I wanted to be there when 7055 was passed. And both the budget tying it to it, every amendment filed was voted down, including the amendment to remove tying 7055 to the budget. That was struck down. But as the Senate President Negron stated, that while he was absolutely not going to allow 7055 to be put as part of the budget negotiations, he did make it clear that much of the leadership supported what was in 7055. He just wanted it to go through its traditional process. So I think we have to be realistic to the fact that the Senate is going to use it in their chips right now as well.
Mr. Kenny, I'm going to ask you to pause for a
Sure,
minute. It's
you go ahead.
5:15, and so I would like to know if there's any other citizen comments. Anyone would like to come before the board with any citizen comments? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Kenny, the floor is yours.
And I'm just going to end with this. We do have to keep watching, communicating with our senators. I don't think, we've talked with Senator Simpson. I think he knows where we stand on most of these issues, as well as many of our senators. But we've got to encourage our public to communicate with the legislature, especially those that are grandparents, because they have probably more say at times than what the rest of us do with the legislature. And I'll leave with this. I had a chance, a lot of us listened to Coach P, representative out of Orange County, and I had a chance to talk with him one-on-one. Coach P, I brought up to this board, ran HB 427, which our Representative Mazzullo, on his own, came forward and said, I want to be a part of that. And it was removing the state mandate of tying teachers' evaluations to student scores, something I know this board has supported. And I talked to him, he made the comment when he said that, when he learned that we were from Citrus County. And he said, Representative Mazzullo is going to be very influential in this House. And he said, there may not be someone any more supportive of public education and common sense education than Representative Mazzullo. So he said, keep talking to him, keep communicating with him, because it's definitely a positive thing for public education as well as for Citrus County. So I want to just publicly thank Representative Mazzullo. I know that he's not going to always agree with us, and we're not going to always agree with him, but he is listening, and he will make that time to communicate with us.
87% of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, Mr. Dodd, thank you for that time, but thank you also. You did a great job leading us up there. You literally, at some points, leading us as Doug would say, okay, I got this set up, I'm running ahead so that we can do it to get the next meeting scheduled. So you did a great job.
Well, it was interesting because we all met with Representative Mazzullo separately, and we didn't know if we were going to get any time with him. And then all of a sudden we had a lot of time with him because our 5 minutes each actually turned into more, which was good for us. And I know a lot of you visited with him, and I got to see Senator Simpson, and I know you all, I know Thomas and Sandy, you were able to do that too. So those are good things that we keep in contact with them. And I agree with Mr. Kennedy that we have to make sure our voices are heard. And sometimes it feels like we're just spinning our wheels, but it's good for us to be there. I know Mrs. Himmel too is up there a lot, or you've been up there a lot this year, trying to be ambassadors for our public schools. And it is somewhat discouraging at times, but we've got a great school district here, and we got to continue to fight the good fight and be proud for what we are able to accomplish. And so that's a lot of great things. Ms. Counts, did you have something to say? I know I thought you maybe were going to say something about Thomas's comments, or was that? Okay.
But I did, we should mention that we all had beautiful seats in the historic Senate.
Yes.
I mean, it was just awesome sitting there and knowing
Yes.
that, 100 years ago, somebody sat there and passed along.
Yes, that was. Yes, they had our meeting in the historic Capitol, which we were in the Senate chambers.
Who Miss Powers worked in as a class
Okay, we had.
Not 100 years ago.
We had our students with Youth Leadership Citrus here today, and superintendent met with them and staff, and we were able to talk to those students, a good group. I think we had 23 students today. They started this morning over at the Valerie Theater and got to speak to all of our constitutional officers, and I'm just so pleased to see the involvement of those elected officials. Mrs. Vick was there, Angela Vick, Les Cook was there, Janice Warren was there, as was Susan Gill, and so they were all there to speak to the kids, and then the superintendent was here, and from here they went over to Withlacoochee Technical College and had lunch, and then they got to see some of the programs over at Withlacoochee Technical College, and so it was just, it was a good day, and I love to see those kids involved. I know it's, a lot of them are high-achieving students, but still to miss school when you're in the IB program or AP classes, or it's still a tough thing. It's a sacrifice, but they really do learn a lot through Youth Leadership Citrus. So proud to keep, glad we're keeping that program going. I did go out, and I think all of you would have the opportunity to, if you like, to see the some of our new gas-powered buses, gasoline-powered buses, and Mr. Bishop took me out. And I got to ride on one of those and talk to some of the drivers about those buses and some of the mechanics. So there's a lot of benefits there for us, and there's some cost savings too. And so it's good to see that those buses have rolled in, and we still have some more that are coming down. But you know, there's some great benefits for us to go to gasoline right now. The Homosassa Elementary fishing trip was very delightful. My first time able to go on that, and Captain Eric Toney was whose boat I was on. Ironically, I was supposed to be on Dan Clymer's boat, but somehow I didn't get to catch that big fish that he caught.
You do have control over
But-
the students at Costa Rica.
I want to tell you, Mr. Toney, what a delight he is, and his wife, who worked for the district for many years, had made hot chocolate for us, for the students, and he had a bag of Little Debbie's, and it was just really neat. And all of our students, all of our kids on our boat too, they all caught fish, and there are a lot of manatees in the Homosassa River and a lot of dolphins out. So it was just a neat community event for those students, and the Homosassa Guides Association, truly a great group of guides who come out there and donate their time, and it's just kind of a really neat thing to see that. And those students that were with me, a couple of them hadn't been out on the river before, and they're right there, you know, live in that area. And so it just really is a great opportunity for them. So hats off to the Homosassa Guides Association. I'm going to try to be there on the 25th, so thank you for mentioning that. I also want to talk a little bit about 7055. You know, it is disappointing to see these train bills that come up. They have the best and the worst, right, of things for public education in them. I wish they really would divide those out. And I was listening to Andrea Messina's comments on her weekly roundup, and it's just really interesting to see that's kind of the trend now, is to group all these items into one bill, and it's all or nothing. And I don't care for that, and I made that clear to both Representative Zullo and Senator Simpson in regards to that. Mrs. Himmel had the Veterans in the Schools Appreciation Luncheon. That was a nice turnout of those veterans, and we do have the Purple Heart ceremony this Saturday at 11 o'clock. At the Citrus County Auditorium. I'm planning on being there. I don't know if you all are or not, but we've all been there before. It's great to see the students that come out with that. I know a couple programs have invited students to come out that day, which will be again this Saturday at 11 o'clock. That's all I have.
I don't have anything. I want to thank Mr. Gog for a flower.
Oh, thank you, Mr.
That
Gog.
was sweet, and things are going well.
Okay, is there any other items? Okay, seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.